Gonna make the heat go boom, 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 boom. What it is, orale. I'm gonna tell you guys what it is. It's another gunner's profile, and we're gonna be profiling an individual. A lot of people that have used Google, so if you use Google, you recognize his face. Okay, it stands out. It stands out amongst many others. Okay, if you're googling Norteño or Soldado or gang member, this guy's face pops up, as you can tell by that thumbnail. But there's a backstory to this individual. And I wanted to profile it because it needs to be known, it needs to be put out there concerning his lifetime. Oh, what a short life it was, and the life he lived and how he proceeded as a true soldado, right? So we're gonna put some respect on his name. We're gonna profile him. We're gonna talk about it right here on Gunners Profiles. Indubitably, you already know what it is. Let's make it happen and get it to cracking in a menudo style, in a direct fashion. Now, the man you see right there in the thumbnail, rest in peace, is one Stephen Angel Lopez. Okay, so this man grew up in a family gang related. Okay, he decided that if for no other reason, he should go out there and become a northern soldado. Okay, born and raised in Gilas, growing up in the town of Gilas, Gilroy. It's located, you already know, in that central northern half of California, you know, near Salas, Monterey County area. This man grew up around straight northern strongholds. Okay, I've met some vatos from Gilroy in my time, the garlic capital, and I will tell you, man, every Norteño or every person that I've met at Aguilas had some type of Norteñoism. Now, of course, there's rivals, there's oppositions, there's other gangs that claim other subsets and things of that nature in that area, but for the most part, the majority are Northerners or Norteños in that area. So this guy growing up there, he was infused and indoctrinated with the North, the Northern plight, the cause, and wanted to represent at a very young age. Now, everyone must make a decision in life. Okay, and this guy made his decision to go full-fledged, full auto, orale, clickety clack, 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 right? He was ready to boom bang with the best of them. Now, I've had homeboys from my neighborhood, you know, and some of us have always had different stilos. You know, me, myself, I like the sports hats, the jewelry, a little bit flashy. The wind's blowing. And I got my own stilo. Now, there are days I want to throw the Ben Davisons, the Cabaricis, the khakis. You know what I mean? The Stacey Adams, Cortezes. Oh, my. Some Chuck Taylors and do it wiggling. You know, get into my Chicano stilo. But for the most part, I got my own swag, got my own flavor. Now, I have had homeboys that are just all out. Mongolians all the time. Red Charlie Browns at all points in time. Suspenders. You know, Cholo trucker hats. We're just talking about on and so forth. Ain't nothing wrong with it. They're just true to that stilo they love, that Chicano, that Cholo stilo. Okay? And I have a lot of my homeboys from the neighborhood that are like that. That I have some of them that are just jayed up, just kid that put a FUBU hat on and say, fuck it, right? Crack era. But Trip, this Vato was an individual who was influenced heavily by the Cholo style. You know, Ben Davis is every day. Ben Davis shirts, gangster shit. You know, a lot of people identify the Ben Davis clothing, the red paños, the blue paños, the derbies, so on and so forth with gang members. Okay, and it's not necessarily a gang thing. It's derived from the Pachuco stilo out of Texas that gravitated towards Los and then gravitated throughout the world. You got those in Japan wearing derbies right now, talking about you know what I mean? Hey, it is what it is. But he liked the style of this vato, you know, Stephen Angel Lopez. So at a very young age, he found himself moving, his family picking up and moving to Utah. Okay, now I don't know what planet you guys are on at this particular point in time and what degree of striving you're doing on that planet, but I will tell you right now, I'll tell you this first and foremost, Utah is very gang related. See, when you think Utah, you think the Church of Latter-day Saints, you think a lot of Usos, you think a lot of families that migrated up there along that trail to get some stability, you know, to be a little bit different, to get out of the way of the gang-infused areas and cities. You think about John Stockton and Karl Malone. This is what you think about when you hear Utah. But quietly as it's kept, it's become very gang-related and gang-infested the last couple decades. Okay, and a lot of homegrown gangs have set up shop, and a lot of gangs from California, you know, group segments have went up there and established. And one of the main gangs that has established, or we won't even call it a gang, we'll call it an organization, are the Norteños. Okay, of course, you have Sureños, you have Ogden 13 in Utah. You have a lot of these homegrown gangs, a lot of different things, but Norteños have established well. And they have gained notoriety and they have gained respect from states like Califas and the surrounding areas. Based on their aggression, their violence, and the way they carry themselves, they have garnered that respect. They're true believers in the cause. So you got a lot of other states that start claiming gangs, whether it be Sureño or Norteño or Crip or Blood or whatever, and they don't quite earn or garner that respect. And that's just based on they're not doing it in a correct fashion, or they're not doing it under California politics or California rules. So if you're going to start a gang from Califas and the wind is blowing and you're going to go over there and establish that, you got to fall under the rules and regulations just based on that's the way it was started, it was presented, it was ran like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I was going to leave it the fuck alone. But people want to go establish in different states and then change the game. You know, so we're not, yeah, I know, but we're going to put the 3 this way. You know what I mean? But it ain't a 3 anymore. It is to me, right? They just want to switch shit up. And that ain't going to rock and that ain't going to crack, man. And they're not going to get the respect that they would if they just kept it correct with the original way that it was, the foundation was laid down. That's what I've come to see. I could be wrong, but that's the way I see it and that's the way I call it, like an alcoholic, not Trip. So the state of Utah got a lot of functioning Norteños that actually function under California politics, meaning that they function parallel to California. They have a lot of the same true beliefs. They carry themselves the same way. They're structured up the same way. Okay, so with that being said, it's respect. And this Vato, who they call Goofy, right, from Gilas, he moves out there and falls right in line with these Utah Norteños. You see, it was a perfect match. It was a match made in heaven. Because he was already a firm and true believer in the cause, coming from Gilroy. Most Vatos are, like I said, Gilroy got a little bit of gangster in him in a whole lot of different ways. And moving out there, it was the wild, wild west, right? It was wide open for this guy. Even as being a youngster, he was a very tall, very big, very quiet youngster who was cold and calculated and always thought about what he was going to do before he did it. He gets there. And he starts to gravitate towards a few homeboys, a few other Norteños, and they start to form their own clica, their own gang. They start to initiate other people in, and they're rocking and they're rolling. Now, this individual you would think stood out. And yes, he does. And I'm going to tell you why. He had pinta bound over his eyes. Of course, he had the traditional clown, tattoos, several tattoos of the northern affiliation on his body, a big chongo, a big Mongolian. He was still rocking from the early 90s. And like I said, red from head to toe. Okay. What a lot of people don't understand who don't know this individual or never knew this individual was he was actually kind-hearted. Yes, he found himself involved in gangs. Yes, he found himself out there really wiggling. But at the same time, man, this man was about his familia and his homeboys first and foremost. And just like any other gang member, any other one else that participates in gangs, it doesn't mean that they're just violent and aggressive. So there comes a time and place when you have to get that way. But not every day is that day. Some day you just want to, it's Easter, but I just want to kick back with a basket and relax with my kid. Hey, gangsters dance and boogie. You just never know when that time comes. Now, at least you have it in your heart, man, to get off. But just because you get off on a motherfucker doesn't make you a gang member. Okay, but this guy had a lot of love for the North. They had a lot of love for the cause. And being out there in Utah, he started to become well-respected and well-known. He had that look. When you think Norteño, you think Mongolian, teardrops, Huelga bird tattoos, red paños, red t-shirts, oh my, Nebraska, UNLV, oh my, us Norteños, Levina, things of that nature. Just as well as when you think Sureño or Sur, you think Dodgers and Cowboys and Blue Paños and Ben Davises, oh my. Okay, it's a stigma, it's a stereotype. It's what I think, it's what you think, it's okay. We think, you think, we all think when we think, right? This is what happens. But anyway, so this Vato had that look, being a very tall individual, probably, I think he was like 6'2", 6'3". He was a presence. When he stepped in the room, he was a presence, and he was a walking billboard for the Norte. Now, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like I said, to each their own and to each their stilo. But sometimes what you put out there alerts everyone and makes everyone aware. If you see a person wearing a predominant color every day, Sasuke, you're going to start thinking, he's either a Norteño, he's either a blood. To what degree of Northern blood, I can't call it. Now, of course, there are Southerners down south that wear red, and we'll get into that again, like I've done on Gunners Collective, eventually over there on Gunners Collective. But right here on Gunners Profiles, we're profiling certain individuals. So this guy became the walking billboard for the North in Utah. Okay, so what happens one fateful day at the age of 19 is this man decides that if for no other reason, they should go to a concert, him and a few of his homeboys. You know what I mean? They load up, pack it in. I've done it many times. I'm sure if you're out there, you've ever been a gang member or have had good friends, you guys decide you guys want to have a night out on the town. There's a good concert that you've been waiting on that come into town. So, okay, let's go. Vámonos. But this concert wasn't going to be like any other concert. You see, this concert was going to be of a northern fashion. What you had was Big Tone, a very well-known artist out of the city of Antioch, the Dirty Waters, was going to come perform for the gente. You know, he was coming to more like an amphitheater or a ballroom, kind of a club atmosphere to perform, not a very big stadium, but a smaller atmosphere where there would be a lot more people congested. Okay, now of course, Big Tone is known as a northern rapper, right? I see Big Tone as a rapper, period, that's just out there getting his money and pushing and rocking his narrative. Not necessarily a northern rapper, but he's been classified and put into that Gaha label that way, right? I think he's just a Chicano rapper that happens to be from up north. But of course, he has some affiliations, allegedly, and we're going to leave it at that. You know, that's Big Tone's business. We're not profiling him today. But anyway, so he's going to come perform with several other individuals of a northern fashion. And of course, Goofy and his homeboys are like, Califa style, we're going to go represent the Norte. We're going to go over there, wave our paños, our Huelga bird flags, show some love and support for that Alto Tone. And deep, boop, boop, boop. That's what they were planning on doing, you know? And I understand when you come from a smaller state, a smaller city, and a vato of that caliber, of that nature comes to perform for you, and you're a true believer in that cause and that narrative for which his music rocks, you're a big fan. You know what I mean? You really want to meet this individual. You really want to show some embracement. This is what is going on, right? So anyways, this individual, they all go to this club setting, this party, this concert. And there's actually pictures and photos of Goofy with Big Tone where he actually got to meet him. Like I said, man, his presence was felt in Utah, in that particular city he was from. His presence was felt because he had that Norteño look. Like I said, he was basically the poster child or the billboard for the Norte at that time. You know, needless to say, he was also a gangster, man, involved in a lot of stuff. Blancas were looking at this guy in several shootings, several things that were happening out there. I mean, he was a hot topic. All eyes on me. Utterly Goofy was handling his business, right? According to the way you should. You know, north and south, and also north and other oppositions. So they're at this club. They meet Big Tone. He flicks it up. Big Tone shows him love and respect. Says, hey, homie, I heard about you. Likewise, vice versa. Canalismo, embracement. It's all good. Big Tone continues to do his thing up on stage. And what happens is some oppositions, you know, from the south actually walk into the same area, man. And for no other reason than just cause some static, Sasuke, and let people's have it. And a melee breaks out. Okay, and several shots are fired. Several shots ring out. And Goofy is hit in the chest. Okay, Goofy is hit in the chest. Also, another individual was hit. 2 people were stabbed. Okay, fighting, shooting, and everything. Chaos breaks out. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal because up until this point, they had never had that. You know, a big concert going on and basically a stone cold murder, allegedly, or a killing happened. You know, and this young man who was out there representing, you know, got his life ended that night before it even began at the age of 19. Now, I've always looked at his picture and wondered what was going on behind them brown eyes. What was going on in that mentality? I seen the look. I seen the stilo. Hey, I used to have a Mongolian. I had the 14 tattooed on my homie. I did it before he was born, right? So I understood the reasoning behind it, and I understood what he was trying to portray or what he was doing. I could look into that Vato's eyes through that picture and see that he was a true, firm believer. Solidarity, the cause, the canalismo, the brotherhood, the love of your people and your push and your movement. Okay, that was no doubt. And he died that way, you know, solid and in good standings. But too young. See, he never got to put in the necessary work for the North that he would have. And I'm not saying to gangbang and it's all good and, oh man, I'm sad about to die before he got to kill people. Nah, that's neither here nor there. I'm sad that he never got a chance to realize his potential and his fate. You know, there's called different phases in life. And this Vato was going through a super serio phase. And maybe he would have met a Jaina, a good woman, and had a lot of children, and maybe that would have settled his ass down. He would have said, man, yes, I could still be a functioning homeboy. Yes, I could have love for the homeboys and they could have love for me, but I got to get the fuck up out these streets and maintain for my familia. Because what he did was he left the loved ones that he had behind for the cause. Now, I know the cause means more. If you're a Norteño or a Sureño, you know that your cause means more than everything and anything. But in your heart of hearts, vato, when you're thinking about it late at night and the wind is blowing, and you're bumping your jams, what's going through your mentality is, why? There's always that question, why? What have you done for me lately? Well, you know, I'm going to tell you what it's done for you. It's instilled some type of want, need, and fulfilled some type of dream that you had. But at the same time, bro, if you don't proceed correctly and carry yourself in a certain fashion and do it the way it was written out, homie, and you're just trying to be Billy Badass in that one, well, guess what? Someone's going to come for you because you're like a walking billboard and you're like a fucking light. It's going, kill me, kill me, kill me. And that's what happens, man. Other vatos that are gang related that want to make a name are going to make a name out of you because you're the one. And in this particular case, man, without, I'm not trying to shit on this man's character whatsoever, man. It's nothing but respect for this youngster that was striving. You know, there's a lot of vatos that wish they had half of the charisma, half of the potential, half of the gangsterism that this individual had. He was a true believer of the North. Like I said, even being originally from Califas, then out in Utah, there's other Norteños from Califas. When you talk about Norteño, he's the picture that pops in their head because, like I said, that's what you envision. Okay. But he had family. You know, he had extensive family. Of course, word on the curb was after that he was murdered, there was a lot of back and forth. That ignited a lot of gang wars allegedly behind that. And a lot of people came up short. And, you know, and that usually what happens when someone that has the respect, someone that's loved, you know, from a certain gang or a particular area. Oh, red rum, leave your body numb, blasted the dum-dum. Retaliation is a must where we're from, right? And that's what happened. It sparked and ignited a war that has continued to this day. Now, obviously, being from Utah, you would think, you know, people in Utah that shit was simmered down after a while. They're just going through that phase, man. Colors, like Califas did in the early 90s, late 80s. But Charlie, man, these guys are really functioning. You know, this guy put his name out there, and the sacrifices he made and the ultimate sacrifice he made was able to instill some type of warriorism in these vatos. Not to say that they already didn't have it and that this one individual was the one that sparked that flame, but he was part of that. You know, he was the match, and then he got struck and boom, the flame happened. So anyways, man, this guy, Steven Angel Lopez, the reason why I wanted to profile him particularly was that I actually know somebody, okay? And I'm not going to say her name. It doesn't need to be put out there. But she actually was with this individual when he was younger. They were dating. You know, they were both youngsters. She's from Utah. They were dating. So she told me several stories about him, personal stories that, of course, I'm not going to put out there too much of his personal life because that was his thing that he had going on. But she told me, you know, and it's a fact. I've seen pictures of them together. You know, she was at his funeral. She was rocking with him. You know, she got him tattooed Goofy with Goofy on her arm, and she got nothing but love and respect for him. R.I.P. Goofy, the homeboy Goofy, Nortex, IV, all that. So I know it to be a fact, and I've seen the pictures. She told me that he was a very humbled individual, that he really wanted to get out of that life, but just didn't know how to. That he was a true believer, of course, and he was going to do whatever he had to do as a gangster. But if he could choose and he can go back, man, he would have just went a different route. And I've heard that story simultaneously over and over and over again. So I wish I would have went to the army. And the homeboys are like, you are in the army. Yeah, he's like, yeah, but I'm not trying to kill my own people. It is what it is, man. I'm not here to poison the gente, okay, against your true beliefs. Do what you do. I'm just saying at the end of the day, when you start to profile these individuals and look into everyone's backstories, there's a similarity. The similarity in this case with a lot of people is these guys always have regrets and wish they could have or would have or should have, but didn't. And sometimes it becomes too late, man. When you're living that gangster life, man, real gangsters will catch up to you because you ain't the only one, right? Anyways, yeah, she told me several stories about him, and I took it to the heart that he was actually a good youngster, man, that just caught up in his ways, got caught up in what he's seen around him. And, you know, being from Gilas, man, they ain't nothing but just garlic out there, man. There's AKs and Welgabers as well, you know, and he got caught up in that life. Anyways, man, if you haven't inquired into Goofy, check into his story, man. A true believer, a real one out of Utah. You know, he's now deceased. It's been several years, but his name is still spoken of and he's still respected just like day one because he established a lot as far as the Norteño cause in Utah, you know. And for those of you that think, well, gangs are just frivolous and none of that matters anyways, yeah, you know, everyone is opinionated, has their own opinion. But to me and the lifestyle that I lived, man, I'm just going to give that young man his respect. And I think he died too young. But when you're out there living that life, man, what do you expect to happen? You know, that's a lesson to be learned. That's a harsh reality of what could happen. You know, I'm not saying go neither here nor there. I'm just saying think about things before you do them. Be one of those vatos that keeps your fucking mouth shut and thinks about what you say before you say it, because it can get you caught up. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed that profile. If you like it, hit that thumbs up. You know what I mean? Like and subscribe. If you don't, you can hit that thumbs down. Heavy is the head that wears that crown, you know? I hope that you go out there and you move fast with a purpose. I hope that you go out there and you think about what you do before you do it. I hope that you go out there, man, and you spread positivity to your loved ones. Give back to your community. Be a productive member of society. Reel out there and get it with it. Do what you have to do, man, to maintain for your people, because no one else in this world is going to do it for you. Bang, bang. The gun. Orderly Goofy, rest in peace, brother.